In the face of major Head Start cuts, what does preschool education look like globally, and what does the research say about preschool? I'm Dr. Emily Sherwood. So, as the United States is facing a lot of political change after the election of our president, Donald Trump, in January, there's become a lot of talk about preschool programs, and there's already been some cuts to preschool programs this year, particularly to Head Start, which is a program that funds preschool for poor children in the United States, children who are considered low income. And there's also been a proposal by Trump to actually cut the program entirely. And Head Start has impacted 45 million families since it started in 1965, and now it serves over 800,000 children. In the United States, most preschool is not funded, generally speaking. Many students go to preschool, but it's usually a private preschool, like a church preschool often. And only schools that do have preschool programs, often those programs are only either for poor children or children who have special needs, who have disabilities. Those are the two groups that are primarily funded. There is universal preschool in 7 states in the United States, and that's voluntary. That means children can choose to go to preschool, but anybody can go. But in most of the states in the United States, preschool is not funded, and it's either done privately or seen as a luxury, not done by a lot of families, particularly lower middle class families who may not qualify for Head Start. Head Start only has so many seats, or working class families who can't afford it, and that's really outside of the norm internationally. So internationally, 62% of students internationally go to preschool, and in the developed world, the world that has resources, most countries that have good education systems also have universal or voluntary preschool. That looks different. The number of hours might look different. Where that takes place is different, but generally there's preschool offered. And in 4 of the 5 countries that are top in the PISA scores, that have the best education systems according to PISA tests, which is a test that's given to countries globally, even across the world, they all have universal preschool programs. Hong Kong, Singapore, Macau, Japan all have programs for preschools for students to attend preschool free of charge. And again, that might vary. For example, in Hong Kong, this is kind of the voucher program, where the preschools are private, but they receive public money. It looks different per country, but what they have in common is that the preschool's there. And in the United States, we don't have that. And the research shows that the other country, the top 5 that does not have preschool, is China. And China actually has, it doesn't have preschool, but there's a lot of education given by the family traditionally. Chinese families, in a Chinese family, traditionally the grandparents do a lot of the child raising. So the parents will work, and usually it's both parents now because of economics. And a grandparent will either live in the home or nearby many times. And that grandparent will do most of the things that the parents are expected to do in the United States. And that includes getting children ready for school. You do a lot of socio-emotional work, teach about life, teach about morals, nurture the child, help the child developmentally. All of that is typically done by grandparents in China. And if the grandparents aren't available, some other family member sometimes takes that up. Like a child may stay with an aunt or an uncle during the day. So even though it's not a set preschool, those children do get a lot of attention and a lot of nurturing and a lot of instruction, even if it's a little more informal instruction. But in the United States, we don't have that. Most families are nuclear families, and there's a large proportion of families that are single parents. That means there's one parent in the home. And just like everything else in education, the research shows that the children who are suffering the most when they don't get preschool are the children who are the most vulnerable. So poor children, children who are from disadvantaged backgrounds, who have special needs. And those children who are middle class or upper middle class, if they go to preschool, it's not as big a deal, because those children, generally speaking, have high quality care of some sort, either a daycare or a parent or a grandparent. Someone is caring for that child, and generally it's a safe environment. And many times those families often have more education than the poor families. So again, just like everything else, it's children who are the most vulnerable who suffer. Children learning English also, because if they have a year learning English before they go to school, formally, before they go to kindergarten, it really helps them. And the research shows that especially for poor children, what children learn in preschool actually helps them all the way through middle school. The scores are actually higher for poor children who attend preschool all the way through middle school than they are for children who do not attend preschool. Another thing that is often cited as a reason why we need preschool, especially for poor parents in this country, is that this country does not have affordable daycare in many cases. That's something we're going through right now in my family. There are very few daycare options, and I have my child on a list for a wonderful daycare, but I don't know when that will happen. And in many places there are not affordable daycare options for children, and safe daycare options, and children end up being raised either by someone who is not qualified, is not a high quality daycare, or a parent has to stay home with that child. And when that happens, particularly in poor families that do not have a lot of economic resources, that can really affect the family economically. So the article I read at AP News about the cuts for Head Start, the first thing that was said was not, oh, well, these children, by the time they get to middle school, they're really, they're going to miss out on a lot of instruction, and they're going to have a hard time learning compared to other kids. Their academic future is going to be hard. It was, well, what are all these parents going to do? They need Head Start to work. So we have in my opinion, a very low culture of care for children in this society, where a parent working is more important and is a primary indicator of what services children should get. Having that parent bring in money is the most important thing, rather than the child having what they need, what that child needs for kindergarten and for their own. And to me, that's just really unfortunate. The United States is the richest country in the world still by most indicators, and yet we don't care enough about children to have a system where children can get what they need either at the home with their families or in high quality care. The most important thing when making policy decisions is how to make it where the parents can work instead of what the child really needs. And that just, to me, it really indicts us as a society that again, the productivity of the parent is considered before the considerations of what the child needs to be successful and to have a bright future. So if you are in another country, or maybe you're in a state that has preschool programs, I would love to hear what those look like. You can comment below, and if you're interested in more things like this, please like and subscribe. And until next time, keep learning.